Hello everyone and welcome back to their Thomas Wooden Railway review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Duke, and Duke has a pretty well-known story, but for those who don't know Duke's story, he originally worked on the Minnesota Railway with Falcon and Stewart, who later became known as Sir Handel and Peter Sam, and he worked on that line for many years, but eventually that line did shut down. And he was never, no one ever bought him, so he ended up getting put in a shed where he stayed for many, many years. But he eventually was found, and he was sold to the Skarloey Railway, where he reunited with Falcon and Stewart, who by that time were named Sir Handel and Peter Sam. So that is a little bit of Duke's story there. Again, he has a pretty well-known story, but for those who didn't know his story, that's a little... just a little bit of it there. But when it comes to Duke's Thomas Wooden Railway model here, this is the 2009 model of Duke here. And this is the only model of Duke that I have, at least currently. But there is another model of Duke that was released in the late 90s, which I also think that model is pretty decent. I do personally prefer this model here, but I would like to get that model eventually at some point because I do think that that's a decent model. But overall, I do prefer this model here. I think it's just a lot more accurate, and what I really like about it here is the face. I think that that's a very good Duke face there. I feel like that's pretty accurate to how Duke looks in season 4 of Thomas and Friends. So yeah, I just really like that face a lot there. I just really feel like that captures Duke's character very nicely there. I really like the detailing on Duke as well there with all the different like lining and everything. His nameplate there, and I think that the cab looks pretty decent as well. There is a little bit of plastic on the top here, but I feel like that's used to good effect here, so I don't mind that too much there. And another thing that I really like about this model of Duke over the one from the late 90s is the color of Duke here. This color here is pretty accurate to how Duke looks in the TV series. I feel like maybe this is a bit too bright. If it had been a bit darker, that might have been a bit more accurate, but for the most part, it's pretty decent, whereas the one from the late 90s is way too dark, the coloring on it. It almost looks more like how Duke looks in the Railway series, which that's not really a bad thing, and I'm not really sure if that's what Learning Curve was going for with that model or not, but the brown on that model is just way too dark compared to how Duke looks in the TV series. So yeah, I definitely like the color of this model a lot here. I feel like it's pretty close to how Duke looks in the TV series here. And then taking a look at Duke's tender as well, it's pretty simplistic here. There's not a whole lot going on with Duke's tender here, but the lining on it looks pretty nice there. And the coal on the top, I think, looks pretty nice as well. But again, there's not really a whole lot going on there with this tender, but it's still not too bad there. And it's funny that it says Duke's coal car on the bottom there. Usually they say Duke's tender there, so it's funny that it says Duke's coal car there. But yeah, again, overall, I feel like this is a very nice model of Duke, and I really don't think that the one from the late 90s is that bad, though, and I think that I really like the face on that model as well, just like I like the face on this model. I think that they're both very good faces, so I really don't, I do think that this one is definitely better, but I think that both are still very nice models. But again, I really like Duke's character as well. I think that he has a very interesting character as well, and I feel like this model, again, especially with the face there, I feel like this model really captures Duke's character very nicely as well. And there were of that late 90s model, there were some different some different variants of that version of Duke. They were pretty similar, but there were some differences. Like the original one of that version had like a wood funnel, whereas later on it had a plastic funnel. So there were some slight variations in that model there. But again, I do, if you don't already have Duke, and if you can find them on like eBay or something, and you do like this model here of Duke, I definitely would recommend him because I think that he is a very cool character. And again, I really like Duke's story. I really like his episodes in the TV series as well. And yeah, those are some of my favorite episodes in the entire Thomas and Friends show. So I really like Duke's character a lot, and I definitely wanted to do a review on him here because I feel like the model of Duke, this 2009 model of Duke, was done pretty nicely here. So I think that pretty much does it here for my review on Duke. I really like this model here. And yeah, I don't really have many complaints about it. I do feel like the coloring on him is a bit too bright. I think if it had just been a little bit darker, that probably would have looked a little bit better. But it's pretty close. And yeah, just overall, I think that this is a very nice model of Duke. So that'll do it for this one. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you on the next one.